Napoleon called him the Sea Wolf. The British Navy tried to forget him, and 3 nations owe their freedom to him. This is not just the story of a sea captain. It's the tale of a naval genius, a master of deception, a relentless rebel. This is the unbelievable story of Thomas Cochrane, the most daring sea warrior history tried to downplay. Born into battle. Thomas Cochrane was born in 1775 in Annsfield, Scotland, into a long line of warriors known as the Fighting Cochranes. War ran through his blood like salt in the sea. But young Cochrane's rebellious spirit didn't sit well in the army. He detested the stiff rituals and wrote mockingly of being forced to wear candle-greased wigs and powdered flour in his hair. The army tried to break him, but Cochrane broke free. He pleaded with his father and joined the Royal Navy at 17, entering the world where he would etch his legend. Baptism by fire. Cochrane's early naval years were formative. Britain was at war with revolutionary France, and Cochrane was thrust into the Mediterranean, a sea that became his proving ground. In 1800, he took command of the HMS Speedy, a sloop barely the size of a fishing boat with only 14 4-pounder cannons. He wasn't handed glory, he seized it. The Sea Wolf rises. Under Cochrane's command, the Speedy became a predator. He outwitted enemies with bold tactics, disguising as a Danish ship to fool warships, raising false flags, and slipping between enemy fleets like a ghost. His crowning moment came in 1801. Speedy was pitted against El Gamo, a massive Spanish frigate carrying 32 cannons and over 300 men, against Speedy's 54. Outgunned 6-1, Cochrane did the unthinkable. He sailed close enough to render the enemy's guns useless, locked masts, and stormed the ship with a soot-blackened crew that looked like devils from the sea. El Gamo surrendered. Cochrane's legend was sealed. Betrayed by his own. By 1809, Cochrane was at the peak of his powers. He led a daring fireship attack during the Battle of Basque Roads, trapping much of the French fleet. But his triumph was overshadowed by betrayal. His superior, Admiral Gambier, failed to capitalize on the victory. Cochrane criticized him publicly, an unforgivable move. In 1814, Cochrane was falsely accused in a stock market fraud scandal, likely orchestrated by political enemies. He was stripped of his naval command and thrown in prison. He escaped using bedsheets tied into a rope. The Sea Wolf was not so easily caged. Freedom fighter in exile. Outcast in Britain, Cochrane's next chapter would reshape the world. Chile, fighting for its independence from Spain, offered him command of their fledgling navy in 1818. Cochrane accepted. Though the Chilean navy was in shambles, Cochrane brought order and fire. In 1820, he led a night assault on the fortress of Valdivia. With only 350 men, he stormed a stronghold guarded by 2,000 Spanish soldiers and captured it. He then captured the Spanish flagship Esmeralda in a daring midnight raid. Spain's colonial grip on South America was unraveling. Liberator of Brazil. Next stop, Brazil. In 1823, Emperor Pedro I of Brazil summoned Cochrane to fight against Portuguese forces still clinging to power. Again, Cochrane transformed a ragtag navy into a weapon of liberation. His greatest feat came when he chased down a massive Portuguese convoy, 17 warships and 75 transport ships, and captured 30 vessels and 2,000 soldiers without losing a single man. A fractured Greek dream. By the mid-1820s, Greece had risen in revolt against Ottoman rule. Cochrane was invited to lead the Greek navy. But this time, things were different. Infighting among Greek leaders and a lack of resources left Cochrane frustrated. His bold spirit was stifled by politics and division. Though he participated in naval actions, his influence was limited. His Greek campaign ended in disappointment, but his legend remained intact. Redemption in Britain. In 1832, Britain finally pardoned Cochrane. He was reinstated in the Royal Navy, promoted to Rear Admiral, and eventually Vice Admiral. He spent his later years advocating for steam-powered warships, always pushing naval innovation. Cochrane also wrote memoirs that would inspire generations of naval literature. Characters like Horatio Hornblower and Jack Aubrey, immortalized in books and film, were based directly on him. Death of a legend. Thomas Cochrane died in 1860, aged 85, after complications from surgery. But his story didn't end in a grave. Chilean naval officers still visit his resting place in Westminster Abbey each year, laying wreaths in honor of the man who helped birth their nation. He is remembered as a hero in Chile, Brazil, and Peru, a liberator, a pirate hunter, a tactician, and a master of the seas. From disgraced officer to global freedom fighter, Thomas Cochrane's story isn't just about war, it's about never surrendering. If you enjoyed this tale of rebellion and bravery, like, subscribe, and share this video with a history lover. And tell us in the comments, should Cochrane be more widely remembered today?